Chapter 11 There was no enmity, but if you want to kill Zi Ning, you will have enmity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the night, the Imperial Palace is full of patrolling Imperial Forest Army, as well as Luanhai Realm 9th Heavenly Layer experts hiding in various places, but at this time, with the help of the powerful ability of the Thunder Token, a figure hid all the aura on his body, avoided everyone, and came to the East Palace. This is where Prince Qin Jiunian lived. Qin Zi Ning lived in one of the rooms here. This great Xia Palace is nothing more than that, I can come and go freely. Appearing in the East Palace, Qin Feng said with disdain in his eyes, his powerful spiritual sense spread, and soon detected Qin Zi Ning's aura, found a room where Qin Zi Ning lived, and walked straight there. It didn't take long to arrive, however, there is a figure in a black robe, who has been waiting here for a long time. With such a treasure on your body, it took you half an hour to walk from the palace gate to this place. Should I say you are stupid? Or are you weak? That a hoarse and slightly aged voice came from under the black robe. When Qin Feng saw this person, his expression changed drastically. He thought this person was protecting Qin Zi Ning, but he didn't expect that the other party knew that he had entered the palace half an hour ago. You, how could you know that I entered the palace gate half an hour ago? Qin Feng's eyes were full of disbelief and said, and, why didn't you stop me? What do you think? The man under the black robe said calmly, if we stop you outside the palace gate, how can we kill you with the help of the startling dragon array, and how can we get the secret treasure on you? Hearing this, Qin Feng's face instantly became extremely ugly. He never thought that he would be tricked by members of the great Xia royal family. You guys are willing to use Emperor Xia's granddaughter as a bait to lure me here, how cruel it is. Qin Feng said in a deep voice, what he can be sure of is that the breath in the room is definitely Qin Zi Ning. He thought that people from the royal family were using Qin Zi Ning as a bait to lure him here. Don't say it's useless, now the startling dragon array has been fully activated, and all the strong people have been ambushing around. Obediently hand over the treasure on your body, maybe you can die happily. The hoarse voice under the black robe said slowly. Ha, idiot, Qin Feng laughed loudly, and said, your schemes are vicious, but you missed a little bit. The treasure on my body has the ability to teleport. If I want to leave, no one can stop me. After all, a large amount of thunder force emerged from the thunder token in his hand, enveloping him. Remember, no matter what, I will kill Qin Zi Ning. When I make a move next time, even your Emperor Taizu will not be able to save her when he comes, I said. Qin Feng said coldly. While speaking, a silver light flashed, and his figure disappeared into the palace. At this time, Qin Feng took off the black robe on his body, and said flatly, idiot. What he said just now was naturally to scare Qin Feng. The reason for this was because he didn't want to kill Qin Feng in the palace, because Qin Feng could feel that the token in Qin Feng's hand contained an extremely astonishing power of thunder. If a war broke out here, not to mention that the palace will be destroyed, I'm afraid there will be problems with the startling dragon formation. At that time, the demons in the demon suppressing tower will definitely take the opportunity to escape. Things get in trouble. Little girl, you still talk in your sleep, it's really. Qin Feng looked back at the room behind him and shook his head. From the ring, he took out a scroll obtained by signing in the current Great Xia dynasty. Although there is a teleportation array, it can only be teleported between cities. Qin Feng wanted to kill Qin Feng, so he could only use the teleportation scroll obtained by signing in with the system. Ha! As the teleportation scroll shattered, Qin Feng's figure disappeared instantly. At this time, 3,000 miles away from the imperial city, there was a forest full of centuries-old trees. Many barbarian people are waiting here. Shoo! At this moment, a silver light not far away suddenly lit up in the forest, and as the silver light dissipated, a figure appeared in the forest. Qin Feng and the only embassy elder he brought out appeared at the place where the original formation was. Young patriarch. Seeing Qin Feng, everyone stood up one after another, their eyes full of surprise. You killed Qin Zi Ning so quickly? The barbarian elder asked suspiciously. It was discovered. Qin Feng said with a gloomy expression. What? Don't you have a thunder token? How could you be discovered? The barbarian elder said in surprise. The other barbarians also had doubts on their faces. Let's talk on the road, Qin Feng said coldly. Hey! Hearing this, the barbarian elder shook his head helplessly and said, "Forget it, let's go back first. In any case, they're barbarians, and the great Xia dynasty are completely immortal. Zi Ning, one day, I will tear your corpse into thousands of pieces." Looking back at the direction of the imperial city, Qin Feng gritted his teeth. Afterwards, they prepared to leave and rushed back to the southern mountains. That's where it's safest. However, at this moment, there was a young man walking slowly in the distance, and it seemed that he was not a good person. "Who are you?" Qin Feng frowned slightly, and shouted in a cold voice, "This place is 3,000 miles away from the imperial city, and there is no city with a teleportation array nearby," so he naturally did not expect that the young man in front of him was the one he met in the imperial palace. "Naturally the one who came to kill you," Qin Feng said lightly. He didn't deliberately threaten Qin Feng, and his tone was very flat. When Qin Feng heard this, he was stunned for a moment, and then he looked up to the sky and laughed. "Ha! A guy with no cultivation base dares to threaten to kill me. Is there something wrong with his brain?" He didn't feel any aura fluctuations from Qin Feng's body, and his eyes were full of contempt and disdain. Not only Qin Feng, but also the other barbarians couldn't help laughing mockingly. "I think Qin Feng must be a lunatic." "Young patriarch, leave this lunatic alone, leave it to us," one of the barbarians said respectfully. "Kindness." Qin Feng nodded, and said, "Don't forget to pull out all his teeth. I want to make a necklace for my pet, and I still have some teeth." With that said, he and the elder turned and left. Those few barbarians then walked towards Qin Feng fiercely. "Boy, you." However, those few barbarians hadn't taken a few steps, and before they finished speaking, Qin Feng pointed out, and ended their lives with the burst of sword light. The stumps and broken arms all over the place were extremely bloody. "What?" But when Qin Feng heard the movement, he turned his head and saw the corpses on the ground. His face changed suddenly. "These subordinates of him are all cultivation bases of the spirit transformation realm, to be killed by Qin Feng in an instant." The barbarian elder beside him also turned pale with shock, his heart suddenly filled with uneasiness. "Who the hell are you, kid?" Qin Feng's face was as gloomy as water, and he said coldly, "I don't seem to have any grievances with you. There was no enmity, but if you want to kill Zi Ning, then this enmity will be formed." Qin Feng said lightly, "Is there any last words to say?" Hearing this, Qin Feng immediately understood that Qin Feng had come to avenge Zi Ning. "Humph. Although I don't know why you have such a powerful cultivation base at such a young age, you still can't kill me." Qin Feng snorted coldly. The moment the voice fell, a thunderous sound, centered on him, erupted immediately. In the sky, there are dark clouds. Qin Feng's entire body was surrounded by thunder, as if the god of thunder descended on the mortal world. The surrounding trees were scorched black and drained of life in an instant. "There are some means, but that's all," Qin Feng said lightly. "If death is imminent and you are still bragging about it, go to death." Qin Feng roared and charged towards Qin Feng. At this moment, he was really close to a thunderbolt. In an instant, he came to Qin Feng's body, and with the fist of terrifying thunderbolt, he slammed into Qin Feng's chest fiercely. At this moment, he seemed to have seen the scene of Qin Feng being smashed to pieces and blood flying everywhere. He is so excited. Chong. However, at this moment, Qin Feng's body suddenly burst out with a terrifying sword energy. It's like a magic soldier was born. The sound of the sword's cry resounded through the world. Boom! Qin Feng was directly sent flying by the sword energy erupting from Qin Feng's body, smashing several towering ancient trees in a row. The head of the mission was extremely unlucky, and was directly smashed to death by Qin Feng. Qin Feng spat out a mouthful of blood, his face turned pale. He stared at Qin Feng in disbelief and said, "How could this happen? I have already borrowed so much power of thunder, and I can kill even the strongest in the 7th layer of Lunhai realm. How could it not kill you?" According to his speculation, at Qin Feng's age, no matter how evil he is, he will not be able to reach the Lunhai realm. To be on the safe side, he directly used the power of thunder that raised his cultivation base to the peak of the 7th heaven of the Lunhai realm, but he didn't expect to be unable to kill Qin Feng. Instead, he was repelled so easily by Qin Feng. Chapter 12. That's it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Probably because I'm too strong. Qin Feng was indifferent. As he said that, a sword radiance shot out from his fingertips, attacking and killing Shi Feng, leaving a piece of sword marks along the way. Seeing this, Shi Feng hurriedly tried to escape. Pfft. Although he was very fast, Qin Feng's sword light was also very fast. He was not pierced through his chest by the sword light, but an arm was cut off. What? Shi Feng screamed in pain, his eyes were red, and he roared angrily, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. That he slapped his chest with the palm of his right hand, and sprayed a mouthful of blood on the thunder token, trying to use the blood to activate all the power of thunder. Boom boom. Accompanied by the dazzling silver light, and the sound of thunder, Shi Feng's aura began to climb rapidly, and the dazzling silver light shot straight into the sky. The terrifying coercion was released around him. The monsters with a radius of tens of miles were all frightened by the movement, and they all prostrated themselves on the ground, trembling. In the end, it reached the astonishing peak of the second heavenly layer of the Purple Mansion realm. That's it. Qin Feng waited for a long time, thinking that there would be a big commotion, but now he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. However, this was not beyond his expectation. When he was in the palace, he could almost perceive the power of thunder contained in this token. They just thought that Shi Feng's cultivation could be promoted to the peak of the third layer of the Purple Mansion realm, so that he could fight seriously, but he didn't expect that he would be at the peak of the second layer of the Purple Mansion realm. It was a small difference from what he estimated. Insanity. Hearing Qin Feng's words, Shi Feng was furious. He condensed the terrifying thunder, and instantly formed a thunder blade with a length of tens of feet, which traversed the sky. The sword light that emanates makes people dare not look directly at it. Even the strong in the 9th level of the Luanhai realm will be turned into dust under the natural light of the sword. Boom! Under Shi Feng's control, the tens of feet long thunder blade slashed towards Qin Feng. At this moment, as if the god of thunder's punishment had come, it made people feel daunting. However, Qin Feng didn't care at all. It's not that I'm arrogant, but that I'm too strong. Qin Feng said lightly. As he said that, the terrifying sword intent surged out of his body, sweeping a radius of hundreds of feet, and around his body, red sword spirits of fire quickly condensed. The astonishing sword intent swept all directions. The sound of sword cries came in an endless stream. 10,000 swords returned to the sect. Qin Feng pointed in the air, and the hundreds of sword spirits around his body moved at will, and swept away towards the tens of feet long thunder blade. It's like a river rushing. Boom! Hundreds of sword souls collided with the terrifying thunder blade, and terrifying energy fluctuations erupted, sweeping all directions like a tsunami. It spread for dozens of miles. Countless trees were uprooted, flew out, and then turned into dust in the air. The dazzling light makes people unable to open their eyes. This terrifying scene lasted for a long time before it gradually subsided. The whole area became deserted. It seems that this place was not a forest at all, but a wasteland. Shi Feng was covered in scars all over his body, and scarlet blood flowed out from the wound. He was extremely embarrassed, and his breath was extremely weak, and it would be cut off at any time. Qin Feng, on the other hand, remained motionless in place, not affected by the energy fluctuation just now, and his clothes fluttered with the wind, as graceful as a fairy. How is this possible? How can you be so strong? Seeing Qin Feng, who was completely intact, Shi Feng couldn't calm down anymore, and asked the question in his heart. He has such a fairy fate, thinking that he is lucky enough, and he will definitely be the protagonist in this world in the future, but he never thought that in front of Qin Feng, he would be so vulnerable. The young Qin Feng's cultivation is simply terrifying. Pfft. However, what was waiting for Shi Feng was not Qin Feng's answer, but a sword light. Shi Feng's eyes widened, filled with unwillingness, and he fell heavily to the ground. He thought that he could crush all the princes of the great Xia royal family today and become famous in the Kanglan region, but he didn't expect that he would end up dead. There seems to be a special formation in this token, which can absorb the power of thunder on its own. Qin Feng picked up the thunder token from the ground, inspected it for a while, and muttered to himself, but he couldn't be sure, because he doesn't know how to play. Shaking his head, Qin Feng put away the thunder token, turned and left. Jiunian Wei in the post house was killed, and the members of the barbarian mission disappeared out of thin air. This made Emperor Xia furious and ordered a thorough investigation, and that night, there was a barbarian who went to the Imperial Hospital to get medicine with the Imperial physician who had just helped Qin Feng see his injuries, but was not sent away by Qin Feng, and he became the object of interrogation. After suffering all kinds of torture, he explained clearly everything he knew. 3 days later, in the royal study, several ministers are reporting the results of their investigation in the past 2 days to Emperor Xia. Those people from the southern barbarians actually found a place in the mountains where the Thunder Supreme had retreated, and found the token left by that Supreme. That Emperor Xia's complexion became ugly. Thunder Supreme is a well-known Supreme in Kanglen domain. It is not known whether it existed hundreds of thousands of years ago or millions of years ago. He couldn't imagine how terrifying the token left by the strong would be. The news is correct. I got it from that barbarian. The minister in charge of the Ministry of Punishment said respectfully. The only thing he didn't understand was why Qin Feng wanted to kill those Jiunian, and then escaped with the missionaries. He speculated that it might be that the people from the Nanman mission discovered the Jiunian who was monitoring them, and thought it was the royal family who wanted to attack them, so they acted first, of course. It is also possible that after Qin Feng was defeated, he became so angry that he couldn't help but kill those Jiunian to vent his anger. Hearing the confirmation from the Minister of Punishment, not only Emperor Xia, but all the ministers present were silent. This is definitely not good news for them, and at this moment, Jiunian's envoy arrived after a long time. Your Majesty, we have found Qin Feng. The Jiunian Fu envoy said. Where is he? Emperor Xia hurriedly asked. He is dead. He was killed 3 days ago, and the thunder token on his body is gone. After a pause, Jiunian Fu envoy continued, looking at the intensity of the battle, the person who made the move should be a third-layer Purple Mansion realm cultivation base, and he is a very powerful swordsman. When he was speaking, he recalled the amazing sword energy remaining in the heaven and earth there, and he still had lingering fears in his heart. Although he was at the 7th level of the Luanhai realm, at that moment, he felt as small as an ant. What? As soon as this remark came out, everyone in the imperial study room was startled and looked at each other in blank dismay. Qin Feng was actually killed. But he is still a strong person in the 3rd layer of the Purple Mansion realm. When did such a strong man appear in the Great Xia dynasty? In an instant, countless questions flooded into their minds. He was killed 3 days ago. Emperor Xia frowned. 3 days ago was the day when Qin Feng escaped. At that time, Jiunian in the post house was killed by Thunder Treasure. Only a few people knew. How could there be a powerhouse in the 3rd level of the Purple Mansion realm, who got the news so quickly, and also went to kill Qin Feng? Chapter 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Could it be that Prince Mu has broken through to the 3rd layer of the Purple Mansion realm, and he killed Qin Feng? A minister said with a little guesswork. The other ministers were overjoyed when they heard this. If this is the case, it is great news for the Great Xia dynasty. Impossible. Jiunian's Fu envoy shook his head, and said, Mr. Chen also went, and he found that the person who killed Qin Feng used the sword intent of fire, while Prince Mu's sword practiced the sword intent of wind. The two are completely different. It is extremely difficult to comprehend the sword intent, and every sword cultivator spends his whole life to comprehend the sword intent. It is already a blessing. How could there be a sword cultivator who can master 2 kinds of sword intent at the same time? Even if there is, it will definitely not be in the Purple Mansion. If that's the case, it's really impossible. Many ministers in the imperial study shook their heads in disappointment. Although they don't practice swordsmanship, they still understand the basic principles. If someone said that he had mastered 2 sword intents, he would definitely be treated as a fool. Except for Prince Mu. Will there be other strong people in the palace? A minister made an astonishing guess. As soon as this remark came out, all the ministers present changed their expressions. So it is not impossible, Emperor Xia pondered, but after a while, he still shook his head. He said, the other uncles and grandpas of the royal family who are in closed doors have already passed away, and they have all been buried. The only ones who are still closed now are Prince Mu, the 7th uncle. It is impossible to have other strong people in the Purple Mansion realm in the palace. In his opinion, except for those royal powerhouses who retreated, it is absolutely impossible for other people to be strong people in the Purple Mansion realm. because they don't even have enough cultivation resources. Hearing what he said, all the ministers present nodded thoughtfully. His complexion also became more exciting. This also means that, at some point, there has been an unknown Zifu realm triple heavenly powerhouse in the Kanglan territory. This is big news, but I don't know whether it is good or bad for the great Xia dynasty. They didn't dare to extravagantly hope that the third-level powerhouse in the Purple Mansion realm was a member of the Daxia royal family, but they only hoped that the other party would not have any malice towards the Daxia royal family. From this point of view, the strong swordsman should have happened to pass by, met Shi Feng on the teleportation path, and after seeing the thunder token in his hand, he had the idea of killing people to seize the treasure. Jiunian Fu envoy respectfully expressed his guess. He still has a certain degree of confidence in the confidentiality of the palace that he is responsible for, and it is impossible to leak the news on the same day. Emperor Xia and many ministers nodded, thinking that what he said made sense. Either way, it's good news for us. One of the ministers said slowly, now the token of supreme thunder is not in the hands of the southern barbarians, so we don't have to be afraid. That's right. Your Majesty, I am willing to lead my troops to wipe out the southern barbarians. A general stood up and cupped his hands. The other ministers also spoke out one after another, thinking that they could send troops to wipe out the southern barbarians. It was nothing more than a demonstration by the southern barbarian mission, but after Shi Feng's defeat, they killed so many Jiunian in anger, they simply did not take the great Xia royal family seriously. Why do we need to take action? Emperor Xia chuckled lightly and said, let the news that the southern barbarians have found the retreat place of the Thunder Supreme and obtained the Thunder Token. It is estimated that within a year, the southern barbarians will be turned upside down by various forces. He couldn't be more clear about the reason why everyone is innocent and pregnant is guilty, although from the mouth of the southern mission, he learned that the place where Thunder Supreme had retreated, there was nothing but a token, but it is related to Supreme Thunder, and the various forces in Kanglanyu will never mind going to see it for themselves. Your Majesty is wise. The eyes of many ministers brightened, and they said hastily. Afterwards, Emperor Xia ordered someone to send an order to Prince Qin Jiunian, who was on patrol outside, telling him to rush to the south immediately. After all the forces had tortured the barbarians in the southern mountains, let him, together with General Jiunian, come forward to clean up the mess, as Emperor Xia expected. In the next year, the various dynasties and sects who had received the news sent powerful men to the southern mountains to ask those barbarians if they had obtained any other treasures from the Thunder Supreme. There were even people from different forces fighting fiercely for this. Those southern barbarians were miserable and regretted sending Shi Feng to the great Xia dynasty. As for what happened outside, Qin Feng didn't know. I'm not interested in knowing either. After the matter of the southern mission ended, the only impact on him was that Zi Ning was valued by the royal family because of his amazing talent, so he had less time to see him, but it doesn't matter to Qin Feng. He has taught Zi Ning too many things, and Zi Ning can't digest them all in less than 10 years. Don't come often. Your Highness, the reclining chair you requested has been prepared for you. When Qin Feng was cultivating, Chu Xiong said respectfully to Qin Feng. Beside him, there was a reclining chair made of rosewood, which exuded a faint woody fragrance. Kindness. Qin Feng nodded and looked at the reclining chair Chu Xiong sent, very satisfied. Now, he has cultivated the Longevity Sutra to the level of Deshang. The Kung Fu can operate on its own and absorb sword energy, so there is no need for him to practice hard all the time, so he asked Chu Xiong to buy him a recliner, so that he could practice while resting. Now that the southern barbarians have completely surrendered to our great Xia dynasty, His Majesty and the 6 ministers are all very busy. I am afraid that only His Highness is so leisurely. Chu Xiong said with a smile. Putting down the southern barbarians was not as simple as sending troops to station. There are too many complicated matters. There is no time for 5 or 6 years, and it cannot be solved at all. I'm just an ordinary useless prince. Of course, it's not my turn to worry about such big things. Qin Feng said lightly, he's just a waste prince. What bad thoughts can he have? Your Highness is really humble. When Chu Xiong heard this, he smiled wryly. He had never seen, or even heard of, a deposed prince with Qin Feng's state of mind. Which one is not crazy, and dies in depression? There is no one as calm as Qin Feng. It's easy to say, don't be happy with things, don't be sad with yourself, but Chu Xiong thinks that there are only saints and legends who can really do what Qin Feng did. Qin Feng didn't continue this topic. He tried the reclining chair and found it very comfortable. The recliner is nice, thank you. He couldn't help but praise, very satisfied. As long as His Highness is satisfied. Chu Xiong said respectfully when he heard the praise, although he has become stronger now, many people think he is stupid and rarely praise him, only Qin Feng praised him without hesitation, and didn't even treat him as a servant. He was very moved. Afterwards, Chu Xiong asked again if Qin Feng had any other needs, and left. Chapter 14 White Fox. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just when the entire imperial court was struggling to stabilize the conquered southern barbarians, on the other side of the Demon Town Tower, there was a problem. The demon-suppressing tower has a total of 99 floors, soaring into the sky, and it suppresses those demons that could not be killed in the demon ceiling formation thousands of years ago. The whole day was full of demonic energy, even in the scorching sun. It is gloomy here. Haha. I really didn't expect that there is such a powerful blood power in that white fox's body. It's really a great tonic. On the first floor of the Demon Town Tower, a demon laughed loudly. He is Taoist Jiuyo. Today, he took advantage of the weakest formation around the demon ceiling tower, and used secret techniques to secretly escape a wisp of demonic energy. Originally, he just wanted to devour some court ladies and eunuchs, but he never thought that he would meet a white fox. Although the fox's cultivation base is strong, but the spirit consciousness of the demon race is very strong. Taoist Jiuyo took advantage of his surprise attack and suppressed it dangerously, although in the end, the astonishing power of the blood burst out of the white fox's body. He was unable to completely swallow it and let it run away, but he still benefited a lot. It's not just that the cultivation base has been improved, more importantly, he obtained part of the blood essence of the white fox. This is of great use to him. At this time, other demons on the first floor of the demon-suppressing tower also noticed the change in Taoist Jiuyo's cultivation. Disciple, your strength has increased. Hurry up and renew the life of the teacher. One of them, an old and ugly demon, came to Taoist Jiuyo and said anxiously, the lifespan of a demon is not infinite. Only by continuously devouring human essence and blood can life be extended. Although they were powerful before and had devoured the essence and blood of many human beings, after all, it has been 10,000 years and many demons have died. These demons can only continue to cut off their cultivation bases, and use the cut-off cultivation bases to extend their lifespan. The demons on the first level have even fallen to the first and second heavens of the Luanhai realm, and they can't compare with the prestige of the past. It can be said to be extremely miserable, but despite this, many of them are nearing the end of their lifespan. Taoist Jiuyo's master has less than half a year to live. Humph. Old guy, if you want me to renew your life, you should help me practice. Taoist Jiuyo snorted coldly when he heard the words. He grabbed the master's neck and devoured the other party's cultivation. No, the master of Taoist Jiuyo desperately wanted to struggle, but he couldn't escape. The demons imprisoned on the same floor have roughly the same cultivation level. But now Taoist Jiuyo devoured the fox's cultivation base and part of his blood essence. His strength was greatly enhanced, and his master was completely powerless to fight back. Not long after, Taoist Jiuyo's master was completely swallowed up. Even the corpse was eaten by Taoist Jiuyo. Delicious. It's a rare delicacy in the world. After devouring his master, Taoist Jiuyo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and couldn't help but praise. Jiuyo Daoist, you deceived your master and exterminated your ancestors, devouring your own kind. Aren't you afraid of being punished by heaven? A female demon shouted angrily with a trembling voice. Hey! After I escape, I will definitely carry forward our demon clan and lead the Kanglan domain. At that time, merits and sins will naturally cancel each other out. Taoist Jiuyo smiled grimly, and said, at worst, if I put down the butcher's knife and convert to Buddhism, I will always be able to wash away my sins. As he spoke, he grabbed the female demon, and scrupulously began to devour. The scream sounded immediately. The two demons were devoured, and the other demons were trembling with fright, for fear that Taoist Jiuyo would attack them. But Taoist Jiuyo at this time has no intention of continuing to attack. Just now he just wanted to have fun. He can't go up to the upper level of the demon-suppressing tower. And his companions in the same level are too weak, and it is difficult to improve his cultivation level. If he devours it, it's better to keep it. You can devour one after a while, and give yourself a tooth sacrifice. Taoist Jiuyo suddenly spat out a small pitch-black cauldron from his mouth. The small cauldron looks very ordinary, but some of the patterns depicted on it are somewhat strange. This is the vessel he obtained when he was in Outland, and there is powerful power sealed inside. It takes a lot of blood sacrifices to gain the power of the seal inside. Before the demon sealing war, he killed many human cultivators to sacrifice to Xiaoding, but when he was almost able to obtain the power of the seal inside, he was sealed in the demon-suppressing tower. He thought that he would never have the chance to open it again, because just relying on the blood of some court ladies and eunuchs was far from enough, but he didn't expect that today he would meet a white fox with the power of blood, so powerful that he was astonished. He only obtained part of the blood essence, but it was enough. Boom boom. After sacrificed the blood essence obtained from the white fox to the small cauldron, a strange light suddenly radiated from the seemingly ordinary small cauldron. Amazing magic energy was released from inside. Power. It's power, that the demons on the first floor exclaimed in surprise. This astonishing power made them extremely jealous. However, no one dared to move, because now Taoist Jiuyo's strength is above all their demons. Even if they join forces, they are not at all opponents of Taoist Jiuyo. The power inside is enough for me to break through to the void refining realm. After absorbing it, there is absolutely no problem in breaking out. Jiuyo Taoist's eyes are also extremely excited. He sat cross-legged directly, impatiently absorbing the devilish energy gushing out of the cauldron. Spring went to winter, and in the blink of an eye, another 3 years passed. Heavy snow covered the entire imperial city. Under the backdrop of the white snow, this usually solemn ancient building is quite poetic. Qin Feng's recliner was under an ancient tree that was evergreen all the year round, even though it had been snowing all night. Not a single piece of it fell on him. Qin Feng, who had slept for 3 years, couldn't help stretching, although he was resting all day long, but because the Longevity Sutra automatically absorbed sword energy, his cultivation level had also been raised to the 4th level of the Purple Mansion realm. With such a terrifying cultivation speed, anyone who knows about it will probably be envious and jealous. It's a pity that Qin Feng has no plans to go out and wander. It is also impossible for anyone to know that there is such a terrifying monster with an astonishing cultivation speed in the Kanglan territory. I wish I had a copy of The Moon and Sixpence and a cappuccino. Qin Feng, who was on the recliner, looked at the falling snowflakes and muttered to himself. He got up slowly, startled a large group of birds that were pecking at dry food, and prepared to make a cup of tea to refresh himself. Kindness. Qin Feng, who had just made tea, was about to go back to sleep. Suddenly, he noticed a slight movement under a big tree not far away. He took a closer look and found that it was actually a white fox. The fur of this white fox is so soft and beautiful that it almost blends with Bai Shui, but now it was trembling, and it seemed that its breath was very weak. Why don't I remember that there is a white fox in this imperial tomb? Qin Feng muttered to himself. There are quite a few animals in the imperial tomb, many of which were left by concubines who fell out of favor when they were thrown into limbo. They wandered around and finally came to the imperial tomb, but no white fox at all. At this time, the white fox also noticed Qin Feng, and a look of vigilance was immediately revealed in its eyes. Although his breath was weak, he still pretended to be fierce, and a low growl came out of his throat. It seems to be wary of Qin Feng not to play its idea. Chapter 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Little guy, it's quite fierce. Qin Feng didn't care, and said with a smile. Afterwards, he took out a small bottle with few drops of Earth Spirit Bell lotion from the ring, and placed it on the snow in front of the little white fox. Slowly said, I ate those healing pills as jelly beans, and this ground bell lotion also has healing effects. Whether you can survive or not depends on your luck. The elixirs he signed up for were not many, even fewer healing elixirs, and their grades were average, so he ate them as jelly beans, and he didn't have any healing elixirs on him. After finishing speaking, Qin Feng took the blanket and went back to sleep on the recliner. At this time, the little white fox glanced at the small jade bottle containing the lotion of the Earth Spirit Clock, but he didn't intend to pay attention to it. but continued to heal his wounds quietly on his stomach. Her mother told her since she was a child that she must never trust human beings, especially men, without saying a word of truth. What's more, this young man is so handsome and unrestrained, his words are even more unbelievable. It is impossible for it to eat what Qin Feng gave her. Even if you die of starvation, it is absolutely impossible to die in this heavy snow. Time flies, and it has been a year in a blink of an eye. The little white fox lying there healing his wounds became more and more serious, and the whole fox was sluggish. It's in a bad mood. Ever since she was devoured by that demon a few years ago, her cultivation base and part of her blood essence had been devoured, and her injuries had been getting worse and never eased at all. Under such great pain, the little white fox finally couldn't help looking at the little jade bottle. What kind of earth bell lotion seems to have a healing effect? I just take a little, and I don't want to promise to marry a human being, so it shouldn't be a problem, right? It comforted itself like this, and quickly figured it out, stretched out its front paws, pulled the little jade bottle over, and then pushed open the cork on it. Hiss, so fragrant. In an instant, the strong spiritual energy gushed out, and the little white fox couldn't help but gasped. She had never heard of the Earth Spirit Bell lotion, so she didn't know that the aura contained in it was so abundant. Then, she stuck out her tongue, through the narrow mouth of the bottle, and began to lick the milky white liquid inside. After the entrance of the Earth Spirit Bell emulsion, a hot current quickly flowed to the whole body of the little white fox, making its whole body very comfortable. There is a hearty pleasure. The great pain caused by the injury is gradually getting better. This young man seems to be just a useless prince. How could there be such a high-grade treasure? That the little white fox was very curious. Originally, with the mentality that nothing is better than nothing, it ate the Earth Spirit Clock lotion that Qin Feng gave it, but I didn't expect that the effect of this Earth Spirit Bell emulsion would be so good, far beyond its imagination. In its heart, it immediately remembered this milky white liquid, and it will never be forgotten. Winter went to spring and another 2 years passed. In the Imperial Mausoleum, nothing seems to have changed. One evening. Boom boom. Suddenly, a terrifying breath erupted from Qin Feng's body. Incredibly amazing, the raging sword intent swept all directions. There are sword marks everywhere. This terrifying kendo breath almost pierced through the sky. However, there was no response from other places in the palace, because the entire Imperial Mausoleum was covered by the divine hidden formation obtained by Qin Feng. The breath here can't spread outside. Even the Imperial Forest Army guarding the entrance of the Imperial Mausoleum didn't react at all. They couldn't even notice it. The Purple Mansion realm has reached the 5th level, so you should be able to go to the Demon Town Tower to sign in and have a look. Qin Feng muttered to himself. The 5th heaven of each great realm is a huge dividing line, and the improvement in strength is extremely huge. The devil-suppressing pagoda is the core of the entire shocking dragon formation, and only those who are strong in the 3rd layer of the Purple Mansion realm can approach without being directly killed. But Qin Feng's character is cautious, and now he is already at the 5th level of the Zifu realm. So he finally planned to take a look. He's not cowardly. He's just following his inner choice, that is, following his heart. After getting up, Qin Feng stretched himself. He found that the little white fox was nowhere to be seen, and murmured, has the injury healed? That he didn't pay attention anymore, and strode towards the Demon Town Tower. In the Demon Town Tower, on the 1st floor, only Taoist Jiuyo was left, and he ate up the rest one after another during the teeth-beating ceremony. At this time, the devilish energy gushing out of Taoist Jiuyo's small cauldron had been completely absorbed by him, and the devilish energy on his body was overwhelming, terrible, unimaginable. Even the monsters on the top floor are no longer his opponents. 3 heavens of void refining realm. Slowly opening his eyes, Taoist Jiuyo's eyes were full of awe. He has once again returned to his former peak state. It's uncontrollable excitement. The night of the full moon is already the weakest time for the town demon tower. If I forcefully break out of the demon suppressing tower and the killing array outside, I should fall to a great level, but even so, I am still invincible in the entire imperial city. Taoist Jiuyo muttered to himself. When he devoured a young eunuch 2 years ago, he learned from the other party's memory. In the entire palace, there wasn't even a single Purple Mansion realm expert. Now that only 20 years have passed, even if there are new Purple Mansion realm practitioners, they are at best first-tier practitioners. Under his Purple Mansion realm 3rd heaven realm, and under the top level of magic and martial arts, he is basically like an ant. Moreover, in the process of breaking out, he would definitely damage the startling dragon array, and within a month or two, it would be impossible to restore it to its original state. That way, he would have nothing to worry about. Haha. People of the great Xia royal family, I will peel your skin and cramps, smash your bones and suck your marrow, and enjoy it to your heart's content. Taoist Joyo laughed loudly. He had hated the members of the great Xia royal family for a long time, and after going out this time, he must devour them with impunity, take the first step to lead the Kanglan domain. Immediately, Taoist Joyo began to forcibly destroy the demon-suppressing tower. At this time, outside the killing array around the demon-suppressing tower, there are hundreds of Imperial guards guarding it. The leader of the Imperial Forest Army was none other than Chu Xiong. That's why, it's because for some reason, since 2 years ago, in this Demon Town Tower, every once in a while, there are faint screams of demons coming out. At the beginning, Mr. Chen and many strong men in the palace came here to guard in person, worrying about what might happen. But over time, 2 years passed. The screams in the town Demon Tower no longer sounded. Old Chen and the others breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that the screams of those demons must have been refined by powerful demons, and they would make such screams just before they died. They did not continue to stay here. There are still many things in the palace that need to be dealt with by them, and they still need to practice. The demonic aura here in the demon-suppressing tower is overwhelming. For strong people like them, if they cultivate near here, they might go crazy, which is absolutely unacceptable. After so many years, the demons in the demon-suppressing tower may have been refined long ago, and even if they are alive, they are still alive at most. Don't even think about escaping from the Demon Town Tower. What we're still fussing about here is a waste of energy. Some Imperial Forest Army couldn't help complaining. His words immediately aroused the approval of many people, and they all nodded in agreement. That's right, I think it's just too much fuss. The guards have been here for 2 years, and they have been calm as usual. No danger has happened, and they have all slacked off. I felt that it was impossible for any evil spirits to rush out of it. Don't talk nonsense, it's about demons, and you must not take it lightly. Chu Xiong reminded these humanity. He doesn't know much about the big truth, but he still understands this simple truth, and strictly abides by it. And these Yulan soldiers heard the words. Although they didn't say anything more, they dismissed Chu Xiong's words. On the one hand, it was because they were not convinced at all that Chu Xiong, a dead-headed guy, could be their leader. On the other hand, it was because they really didn't feel that the demons inside the demon-suppressing tower could escape. Boom. However, at this moment, there was a change in the Demon Town Tower. Chapter 16 Surprise or Surprise. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The monstrous devilish energy seeped out from the demon-suppressing tower, and quickly condensed outside the Demon Town Tower. What? At the same time, Taoist Joyo screamed in pain. Even if the town Demon Tower has been weakened for so many years, even though this full moon night is the weakest time for the town Demon Tower, but Taoist Joyo wanted to force his way out, but he still endured great pain. What is this? Seeing the demonic energy slowly condensing outside the demon-suppressing tower, all the Imperial guards turned pale with fright and their voices trembled. They froze in place, not knowing what to do. Quickly inform Mr. Chen. Chu Xiong reacted quickly and shouted loudly. At this time, finally a few Imperial guards came to their senses and rushed to the place where old Chen was retreating. At the same time, the devilish energy bursting out of the demon-suppressing tower has already condensed into a figure. Boom boom. And at this moment, the killing array outside the demon-suppressing tower also discovered an abnormality, and immediately began to operate. Those golden patterns radiated dazzling light, trying to stop Taoist Joyo. Haha. I have already come out, and you still want to kill me? Taoist Joyo laughed. He strode towards the direction beyond the killing array. He had no choice but to force his way. Boom boom. This terrifying killing formation continuously attacked Taoist Joyo, and his aura kept falling. The magic energy was purified by this killing array, but his footsteps did not stop. Finally, Taoist Joyo walked out of the killing formation, and just appeared in a position less than 100 feet away from the numerous Imperial Forest Army. This killing formation is actually so much weaker than I imagined. It seems that the great Xia dynasty is in decline. Taoist Joyo looked at the bleeding body and said solemnly, according to his speculation, if he walked out of the demon-suppressing tower, and then stepped out of this killing formation, his cultivation would at least fall from the 3rd level of the Void Refining Realm to the 3rd level of the Purple Mansion Realm, but now it has only fallen to the middle stage of the 4th heavenly layer of the Zifu Realm. For him, it is very good news. Zi, the demon of the 3rd heaven of the Purple Mansion Realm. Listening to the other party's muttering, those Imperial guards were so frightened that they couldn't speak fluently. Humph. Humble human beings, kneel down quickly when you see this demon. Taoist Joyo snorted coldly. Although the Imperial guards were well trained, after hearing the words, they were all so frightened that they knelt on the ground without even thinking of resisting. The gap between the two sides is really too big, they feel like ants. This guy is a demon, how can you kneel down to the demon? Seeing this, Chu Xiong was very angry. Although he is not smart, he has his own principles. The human race and the demon race have great enemies, how can they kneel down and submit to the demon race? What did you say? Taoist Joyo immediately looked at Chu Xiong with icy eyes when he heard the words, and said, looking for death. He stretched out his big hand, and the astonishing demonic energy formed a huge palm, and he grabbed Chu Xiong, trying to devour him first. Seeing this, those Imperial guards secretly rejoiced that they knelt down early. Chong. However, at this moment, the sound of a sword's cry suddenly sounded. Behind Chu Xiong, a nearly transparent sword spirit approached in an instant, carrying astonishing sword energy, passing him by, colliding with the huge black palm. Boom! Astonishing energy fluctuations suddenly erupted. The huge black palm and Qin Feng's wind sword soul were all shattered. Those kneeling Yulin soldiers were all torn to pieces by this terrifying energy fluctuation. Although Chu Xiong was protected by Qin Feng, he was still thrown hundreds of feet away and hit the ground heavily, passed out. Who? Taoist Joyo's eyes were full of shock. In the great Xia dynasty, shouldn't there not even be a cultivator at the 1st level of the Purple Mansion Realm? How could anyone be able to block his palm? It's hard to escape from the demon-suppressing tower. You don't have to run for your life. Don't you think it's too crazy to kill people here? Seeing that Chu Xiong's life was not in danger, Qin Feng turned his gaze to Taoist Joyo and said calmly. That's ridiculous. Taoist Joyo turned his head up to the sky and laughed loudly, saying, since this demon has come out, we are going to start killing, and it will start from the palace where this demon has been suppressed for thousands of years. Why run? Although Qin Feng blocked his palm with a sword just now, he didn't take Qin Feng seriously. Because of that palm just now, he didn't even use 1% of his strength. What he didn't know was that Qin Feng's sword Soul of Wind just now, when passing by Chu Xiong, allocated more than half of the sword energy to protect Chu Xiong. Otherwise, the power of that sword is definitely more than that. It turns out that you want to treat everyone in the palace as blood, so I can't spare you. Qin Feng said coldly. He is in this palace. Zi Ning is also in this palace. How could he let Taoist Joyo do anything wrong? Idiot, you probably don't know how terrifying this demon's strength is. Let's see how I can tear you to pieces. Taoist Joyo looked Qin Feng's body up and down, his eyes were full of greed, and his saliva was about to flow out. The stronger the person's cultivation, the more benefits he can absorb. Boom boom. Taoist Joyo quickly condensed a huge black palm with monstrous devilish energy, going towards Qin Feng to suppress fiercely. Wherever it passes, the void trembles, like a huge mountain, moving in the air. Then let's see who's the real idiot. Qin Feng sneered. He took a step forward and met the huge palm. His cultivation base is a small realm higher than Taoist Joyo's. Coupled with his powerful sword body, he is invincible at the same level and can even fight by leapfrogging. His real combat power is not known to be higher than Taoist Joyo's. Boom! The huge black palm was smashed by Qin Feng directly, turning into wisps of devilish energy and dissipating between the heaven and the earth. It's like paper. What? Taoist Joyo was dumbfounded and froze in place. Such a powerful attack was actually smashed to pieces by the person in front of him with his body. How can that be? He wondered if he was hallucinating, and just when Taoist Joyo was shocked, Qin Feng had already appeared in front of him. Not surprised, not surprised. As Qin Feng spoke, he slowly raised his finger, the astonishing kendo aura immediately began to condense on his fingertips, bursting out into a dazzling light. No, at this moment, Taoist Joyo felt the threat of death. He was completely convinced that Qin Feng's cultivation was definitely far above his. He couldn't believe that Qin Feng was so strong at such a young age, but he has no time to think now, the only thought in his mind is to run for his life. However, Taoist Joyo had just turned around when the sword light from Qin Feng's fingertips shot out, entered from his back and penetrated his body. His eyes widened, filled with disbelief. He fell to the ground, and then turned into wisps of devilish energy, dissipating between heaven and earth. Chapter 17 Signing in the Demon Town Tower. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After killing Taoist Joyo, Qin Feng's gaze also fell on the demon-suppressing tower. He strode through the damaged killing formation after being forced out by Taoist Joyo, and easily came to the side of the demon-suppressing tower. System, sign in at the Demon Town Tower. Qin Feng said slowly. Ding. Congratulations to the master, the sign-in is successful, and the reward pupil is obtained. The system's mechanical notification sounded in Qin Feng's ears. Shentong can see through all falsehoods in the world. Qin Feng, who hadn't checked in at a new place for a long time, was naturally overjoyed to obtain such a powerful ability. However, he did not continue to integrate here. Instead, he planned to leave first and return to the Imperial Mausoleum. He clearly felt that several powerful auras were coming from all over the palace. He didn't want to expose his identity and cause too many unnecessary troubles. Qin Feng had just left the demon-suppressing pagoda. Old Chen, who was the first to get the news, and a powerful royal who was in charge of controlling the formation Ipesel, had already arrived here. Their faces were extremely ugly. It was very bad news that the demons in the Zifu realm had escaped from the demon-suppressing tower. The killing formation that was forcibly broken through must have been damaged. If the operation of the startling dragon formation is affected, the entire palace will be in danger. And when the two came here, seeing that the killing array was damaged so badly that it had completely stopped functioning, their hearts suddenly turned cold. The startling dragon array will definitely not be able to work. The palace is going to be finished. No. What about the demon? The powerful royal family looked at the corpses of the Imperial Forest Army everywhere, but there were no traces of demons, and suddenly made a suspicious voice. Right? Why is there no sign of the demon? Elder Chen also had a puzzled look on his face, and at this time, other strong men who got the news also came one after another, and Emperor Xia was among them, and he could bless himself with the luck of the dynasty. With a substantial increase in strength, it is also the only one who can reach the Purple Mansion realm. What happened? Didn't it say that some demon broke out of the Demon Town Tower? Why is there no trace of the demon? The powerhouses present made voices of doubt. His face was full of puzzlement. Emperor Xia also asked Mr. Chen. Reporting to your majesty, I have just arrived. When I came here, it was like this. There was no trace of evil spirits at all. Old Chen said bitterly and helplessly. The royal powerhouse next to him also nodded. Is this how you came here? Emperor Xia was taken aback. His face was ugly and he said, could it be that the demon has already escaped? That if the demon really escaped, found a place to hide, and secretly devoured humans, then no one would be able to stop his cultivation from improving. No, besides the monstrous devilish energy here, there is also a very powerful evil spirit, which is produced when the demon dies. Elder Su, who was guarding the Library Pavilion, suddenly spoke. He has read countless ancient books, and he knows more about demons than everyone present. What did you say? Emperor Xia was surprised, looked at Elder Su, and said, you mean, that demon has been killed? How is this possible? He couldn't believe it. The news of the demon coming out of the tower had just spread, and they had already rushed to this side. How could the demon be killed just after arriving here? The other powerhouses are also unbelievable. Sword Qi. Between the heaven and the earth here, there is a very powerful sword Qi remaining. Old Chen suddenly exclaimed. He noticed that there was a very powerful remnant of sword energy here, but it was covered and corroded by the monstrous devil energy, so he didn't notice it at the first time. That's right, I can feel it too. There is an amazing sword energy remaining here. Another strong man who practiced swordsmanship hurriedly said, moreover, Mr. Chen was able to confirm very quickly that the sword energy remaining here was exactly the same as the sword energy that killed the old eunuch of the exorcising sect. He said solemnly, it should be Prince Mu who made the move. But how did 7th Emperor Uncle get the news of the demon's birth in the first place and kill it? Emperor Xia said puzzledly, the place where the strongest of the royal family retreated to death was at the farthest position of the demon-suppressing tower, and the old seniors who were worried that the devil energy would make them retreat accidentally lost their temper. They just got the news. How could Prince Mu act so quickly? Everyone present also had the same doubts in their hearts. Even if Prince Mu is at the Zifu realm, he shouldn't be so fast, right? After all, that demon is also at the Zifu realm. Probably because Prince Mu had been paying attention to the demon-suppressing tower 2 years ago when something went wrong, so he killed the demon as soon as it appeared. Old Qin guessed, and his guess made everyone present nod in agreement. I think that's the only possibility. At this time, Chu Xiong had already been sobered up after being given a pill by the powerful royal family. See Your Majesty. After Chu Xiong came to his senses, he quickly saluted Emperor Xia. No need to be polite. Emperor Xia waved his hand, and then asked, what happened just now? Why are you fine? All the imperial guards present were killed, but Chu Xiong was still alive. He was puzzled. Chu Xiong didn't dare to hide anything, and told Xia Huang exactly what happened just now, without daring to omit a single word. A sword soul with a powerful wave of wind passed you by and killed that demon. Hearing what Chu Xiong said, Mr. Chen and the others were even more convinced that it was Prince Mu who made the move. Emperor Xia also had the same idea. You don't succumb to the evil spirits, that's probably why Uncle 7th Emperor saved you. He said slowly, pass the decree, reward Chu Xiong. Emperor Xia directly gave Chu Xiong a lot of rewards. The minister of the Ministry of Rites next to him recorded all the rewards in detail and distributed them to Chu Xiong as soon as possible. Thank you, Your Majesty. Chu Xiong said gratefully. Emperor Xia nodded, and then ordered the powerful man of the royal family who was in charge of the Eye Pestle to hurry up and repair the startling dragon formation. Afterwards, after leaving a few strong men to guard the Demon Town Tower to prevent other mutations, the others hurriedly got busy. After returning to the Imperial Mausoleum, Qin Feng planned to merge the divine pupils. By the way, does this hurt? Qin Feng thought of a key question and asked the system. It can be painful at first. The system explained without emotion, but after the pain, there will be a wonderful feeling. After having the divine pupil, one has the ability to see the world clearly. This is what the system calls a wonderful feeling. That's good. Qin Feng nodded. He then let the system fuse the pupils. Hiss. A momentary pain made Qin Feng gasp. It felt like something had entered his body. However, this pain did not last long, and soon became normal. Qin Feng slowly opened his eyes, and in the depths of his eyes, there were suddenly many mysterious runes. This is exactly what will appear when the pupil is used. He was surprised to find that as long as he used his divine pupils, not only could he see very far, but he could also see clearly the flow of spiritual power between heaven and earth. Even, there is the general trend of mountains and rivers. Can't escape his eyes. This Emperor Taizu's mausoleum is really a treasure of geomantic omen. Qin Feng couldn't help sighing. No wonder the mausoleum of the great ancestor is next to the imperial palace. There is such a treasured place of geomantic omen, which can protect the royal family of Great Xia for generations to come. After a while, Qin Feng slowly withdrew his pupils, then he returned to the recliner and continued his practice. The kung fu in his body operates on its own, and at the same time absorbs the sword energy wrapped around his wrist like a ribbon. P.S. Let me tell you in advance. Although the protagonist has signed up for the external avatar, he will not use the external avatar. To go out, I originally wanted to write it like this, but it feels a bit awkward, so if there is anything, the protagonist should do it himself. Chapter 18 Sign-in Rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What happened in the town demon tower did not have any impact on Qin Feng. He was still training while sleeping as before. On the contrary, Chu Xiong benefited a lot. Because he did not give in when facing the evil spirits, he was allowed to enter the academy run by the Ministry of War and study for 3 years. During this period, it was other Imperial Forest Army who delivered dry food to Qin Feng. It's just that although the soldiers of the Royal Forest Army were respectful to Qin Feng, they didn't want to say a word. Obviously they didn't want to have anything to do with Qin Feng. Later, it was even directly changed to sending dry food once a year. Although these imperial guards had heard that the new crown prince Qin Jiunian and Qin Feng had a good relationship, how could they know what the actual relationship was like? If Qin Jiunian wants to deal with Qin Feng in the future, those who have a good relationship with Qin Feng will definitely be implicated. Are there few such things in the royal family? They still think it's better to be careful. As for the thoughts of the Imperial Forest Army, Qin Feng naturally knew that he would be happy to be clean and undisturbed by sending dry rations once a year. In a blink of an eye, it is the spring festival. There are lanterns and festoons everywhere in the palace, full of festive atmosphere. Qin Feng was alone in the Imperial Mausoleum, and the surrounding vegetation was already withered and yellow. Compared with other places, the atmosphere was a bit sad, but he had already gotten used to it. Zi Ning is here. Qin Feng, who was resting on the recliner, suddenly felt something, and looked into the distance. It was found that the girl in a festive robe was walking towards this side with a food box. Uncle Royal. Seeing Qin Feng looking at her, Zi Ning immediately said happily, it had been almost 3 years since she hadn't been to the Imperial Mausoleum, because Emperor Xia spent a lot of money to invite a formation mage from a neighboring country, and arranged a small high-grade spirit-gathering formation for her. Only lasts for 3 years, she must retreat and practice within the formation every day. It was the formation that had completely failed a few days ago, and she could finally come out and relax. It's already the 5th level of the spirit transformation realm. Not bad. Qin Feng praised. The last time when the southern mission came to provoke her, Zi Ning was only at the 9th level of the Yuan condensation realm. It has only been a few years now, and she is already at the 5th level of the spirit transformation realm. This cultivation speed has surpassed most geniuses. You must know that it takes at least 10 years for ordinary cultivators to upgrade from the 9th heaven condensation realm to the spirit transformation realm, not to mention the improvement of each small realm of Hualing realm. Zi Ning's cultivation speed can definitely be regarded as a first-class genius. Thank you, Uncle Huang, for your compliment. Zi Ning asked, how's the Emperor's uncle doing these past few years? As always. Qin Feng said lightly, eat and sleep, sleep and eat. It's so boring here, there's no one here. Zi Ning looked at the desolate surroundings. Suddenly his eyes lit up, and said, I will help the Emperor to beg the Emperor's grandfather. Maybe the Emperor's grandfather can make an order to pardon you. She is also a smart little girl. It is very important for the royal family to know the talents that they are showing now, and speaking will have some weight. Do not. Qin Feng quickly refused. Why? Seeing Qin Feng's resolute refusal, Zi Ning was puzzled. Qin Feng was a little dumb. He couldn't say that he was practicing here, so he wouldn't be easily disturbed, could he? After a pause, he said seriously, everyone in the world thinks that I am in collusion with the devil's cult, and everyone would like to get me and punish me, but I am no longer the prince, and I will definitely not be able to live in the palace after being pardoned. At that time, he might be killed outside at any time. It's better to be in this Imperial Mausoleum, which is clean and safe. Hearing what Qin Feng said, Zi Ning nodded thoughtfully. I thought it made sense, so I didn't continue this topic. Afterwards, Zi Ning handed the food box to Qin Feng. These were dumplings cooked by her mother, and asked Qin Feng to deliver them. She accompanied Qin Feng to finish the meal, chatted about what happened outside, and then left the imperial tomb. After the spring festival, it snowed heavily for several days in a row. The entire imperial city was shrouded in snow. By the way, it seems that the place where the royal powerhouse is closed to death has not been signed in yet. Qin Feng suddenly remembered such a good place. Without hesitation, he went straight to the forbidden area of the palace. If someone saw Qin Feng, they would be surprised to find that there were no footprints on the ground where he passed, and he really walked on the snow without a trace. It didn't take long for Qin Feng to come to the place where many powerful members of the royal family were closed to death. This is an absolute forbidden area, and there are a large number of Imperial forest troops stationed in the peripheral area all year round. No one is allowed to enter, but these guards were useless to Qin Feng. He strolled leisurely and walked into the forbidden area of the palace. There are ancient buildings everywhere. Although it is a bit dilapidated, it is still incomparably majestic. These buildings are almost the same as the years when the great Xia dynasty existed. It is indeed a place where many sages retreated to death, and the aura is really strong. Qin Feng murmured, the richness of the aura here is more than 10 times that of other places in the palace. However, the rich aura here does not have any attraction for Qin Feng. He has a lot of cultivation resources, and he doesn't need to absorb the spiritual energy between heaven and earth at all. System, help me sign in the forbidden area of the palace. Qin Feng said lightly. Ding! Congratulations to the master, you have successfully signed in and obtained an avatar outside your body. The system's mechanical notification sounded in Qin Feng's ears. Incarnate outside the body. Upon hearing this name, Qin Feng's eyes lit up. He didn't need to check the information specifically to know what this martial skill was for. Without any hesitation, he chose fusion. In an instant, a large amount of information flooded into Qin Feng's memory. This process is short, but it will take a long time for Qin Feng to master it proficiently. The condensed incarnation is a pure energy body, completely controlled by the body's thoughts, without self-awareness, consuming spiritual energy every moment, and only half of its own cultivation base. As information floods your mind, Qin Feng understands this incarnation outside his body more and more. Although he could only display half of his cultivation, he was already very satisfied. He immediately prepared to go back and cultivate the incarnation outside the body. Kindness. However, at this moment, Qin Feng suddenly frowned slightly. He found that there was a trace of magic energy here, which was very weak, but with his strong spiritual sense, he still detected it. In the depths of Qin Feng's eyes, mysterious runes emerged, and he used his pupils to check the specific location of the devil energy. Soon, he found it, the pavilion where Prince Mu retreated. How can there be magic energy here? Qin Feng was puzzled. The devilish energy here is very weak, almost negligible. If he didn't have divine pupils, even if his divine sense sensed it, he might not be able to find it here. He was curious and wanted to go in to have a look, but the pavilion was protected by a formation, and if he wanted to open it from the outside, he had to break the formation forcibly. If he does this, it will definitely cause a huge commotion. By the way, it's just a good time to try the incarnation outside the body. Qin Feng suddenly remembered. Without hesitation, he sat cross-legged on a stone step not far away, releasing strands of spiritual energy from his body, entering the pavilion through the gap in the formation, under his control. After entering the pavilion, the aura began to condense rapidly, and finally turned into a looming figure. Only 1/10 of the cultivation base. Qin Feng was dumbfounded. He never thought that his first attempt would be such a failure. However, he didn't pay attention to these, and went straight to the top floor of the pavilion along the stairs. It didn't take long for Qin Feng to arrive at the top floor of the pavilion, but the scene in front of him made him extremely astonished. Chapter 20 Qin Jiunian was attacked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For the next half a month, Qin Feng in the Imperial Mausoleum was practicing incarnation outside his body. Compared with other martial arts, it takes more energy to cultivate to the level of ease of use. Fortunately, Qin Feng has plenty of time. One evening, a chill suddenly appeared in Qin Feng's eyes, and he looked to the south. Why are there so many dead people around the prince? In the wooden sword he gave to Qin Jiunian, there was a wisp of his sword intent. Relying on that wisp of sword intent, Qin Feng sensed that Qin Jiunian was full of dead people's aura. With curiosity in his heart, mysterious runes appeared in his eyes, and he cast his pupils. Under normal circumstances, even with divine pupils, it would be impossible for Qin Feng to see what was 3,000 miles away. However, because he left a wisp of sword intent on Qin Jiunian's body, with the help of that ray of sword intent as a medium, he could see what happened to Qin Jiunian. At the same time, in a city 3,000 miles away from the imperial city, even though it was already night, it was still very lively, especially on both sides of the big river that passes through the city. There are lanterns of various colors, and the reflections fall in the river, and the whole scene against it is a bit dreamy. On the river, there are dozens Of extremely luxurious flower boats, the music of silk and bamboo above, as well as the young women chatting and laughing, are all fascinating, and in a restaurant on the shore, Qin Jiunian was resting and eating. Accompanied by him were two royal worshippers, one in black robe and one in blue robe. Qin Jiunian loved the people like his son, and he didn't want to be escorted by tens of thousands of troops when he returned to the city, so I only brought these two Lunhai realm 9th layer experts with me, and when I came back along the way, I could quietly inspect the officials from various places. The scenery here is pleasant, and the people live and work in peace and contentment. Why is the young master still not happy? Among them, the black-robed enshrinement couldn't help asking. If the common people in Great Xia could live and work in peace and contentment like this, I would naturally be happy, but the beautiful scenery here can only be enjoyed by the rich and powerful, and the common people have worked hard for half their lives, but they have no chance of this. How can I be happy? Qin Jiunian's voice was full of exhaustion. During the private visit of Weifu, he saw too many shortcomings in the dynasty, and drastic reforms were needed. However, land mergers are serious, and wealth is rapidly gathering in the hands of a few people. This is what needs to be resolved most now. When the two old men heard this, they couldn't help admiring in their hearts. Qin Jiunian was really thinking about the community all the time. However, they did not continue to say anything. It is not what they should do to offer advice to the monarch. Kindness. At this moment, the black-robed priest frowned. His eyes were full of surprise. What happened? Qin Jiunian asked suspiciously. That person is practicing the exercises of the Taishan royal family. The eyes of the black-robed priest looked at a solid figure who was always sitting in the corner of the restaurant, covered by a cloak. He neither ate nor drank, just sat there quietly. Qin Jiunian's expression changed upon hearing this. Although the Taishan dynasty and the Daxia dynasty were in harmony on the surface, they were fighting openly and secretly all the time. How could people from the Taishan royal family come here? Boom! At this moment, an astonishing fluctuation suddenly erupted in the body of the man in the cloak. The terrible breath tore many people in the restaurant into pieces in an instant. The scene was extremely bloody. Not good. The face of the priest in black robe changed suddenly. He hurriedly grabbed Qin Jiunian's shoulders, flew out of the window, and came into the mid-air outside, and at this moment, the strong man in the cloak displayed a powerful killing skill and killed the blue-robed priest who was still in the restaurant. Boom! Terrible energy fluctuations instantly flooded the entire restaurant. In an instant, the whole restaurant was turned into ashes. For a moment, there was an incomparably huge commotion on both sides of the river, and the sounds of fleeing and crying continued to resound. It's really people from the Taishan royal family. They are so brave that they dare to ambush His Highness the Crown Prince. The priest in black robe looked gloomy, and then said, Your Highness, let's leave here first. He didn't know if there were any other hidden powerhouses around, so he couldn't stay here for long. Kindness. Qin Jiunian nodded. Although he was worried about the people in the city, he was not stupid. He knew that the other party's target was him. As long as he left, these people would be safe. The figures of the two people flew away into the night, away from this dangerous place, and the blue-robed enshrined person was not greedy for war. He always remembered that his first mission was to protect Qin Jiunian. After confirming that Qin Jiunian had left, he also left the battle and disappeared into the night, and the strong man wrapped in a cloak didn't stop and left directly. However, this scene has already been seen by many cultivators in the city. The exercises of the Taishan royal family are very obvious, and some people recognized it at a glance. It is estimated that it won't be long before Jiuniwei will hear about the Taishan royal family's attack and killing of the Daxia prince. 200 miles away from the city, Qin Jiunian and the two royal families are enshrined here. The nearest military camp is about 700 miles away. Let's go there first. The blue-robed priest said in a deep voice. In the barracks, although there are not many strong men, the powerful battle formation formed by a large number of soldiers is terrifying. Even they shy away from it. Moreover, all the barracks are surrounded by powerful formation protection, which is very safe. It is good. Qin Jiunian nodded. They are ready to go to the barracks. However, at this moment, a strange melody suddenly sounded in the dense forest below, incomparably evil. Shua! 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 Following the sound of the melody, several figures burst out from the dense forest below and came into midair, surrounding Jiunian and the others. None of these figures are alive. All ancient corpses. The body is full of evil breath. What? The corpse sect. The expressions of the two royal families changed suddenly, and they exclaimed. It never occurred to them that they were being targeted by the corpse exorcists. Moreover, the other party dispatched so many powerful ancient corpses at once, it seemed that they were bound to win. Could it be that the strong Taishan royal family who attacked me in public in the city is also an ancient corpse from the corpse exorcist sect? At this moment, Jiunian also reacted. Cuckoo. At this moment, a charming laugh came, and Qin and several people who held the underworld to control the corpse also rose from the dense forest below. She jokingly said, "Are you finally figuring it out now? It's too late." Hateful. Jiunian's expression turned ugly. He immediately thought that this must be the exorcist faction who was instigating the war between the two dynasties. If this is the case, it will be a disaster. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, you have only a dead end now. You should obediently kneel down and surrender. That when Qin saw that Jiunian was good-looking, she immediately had the idea of making him a male favorite. Anyway, her goal is to make Jiunian disappear, whether to kill him or use him up. It's the same.